SummerSlam 2024 was definitely an interesting show. I've seen a lot of really high praise on it from people on Twitter and Reddit and various other apps, and that's cool if everybody else really loved it. I posted some of my thoughts that I thought it was an enjoyable show overall. I didn't really find anything super great except for one match on the card. I was disappointed by a few matches, and people were really upset with me that I didn't think this was the greatest SummerSlam of all time or one of the best events in history. And I'm not really sure what the disconnect is here. I think it's a combination of younger fans who the only thing that they watch is WWE, and they have like a blind type loyalty to it where they have to feel the need to defend their product super hard, even though I'm not coming at it in like an aggressive way. I said it was like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 show, and it was enjoyable, but I found some things disappointing, and there were people hurling homophobic remarks and calling me an idiot and a moron, and that I should go watch golf and various things like that. And it's like, damn, like I was just providing an alternate opinion as someone who is pretty non-biased. I mean, I watch a ton of different types of wrestling. I'm a huge fan of a lot of different styles, obviously WWE, AEW, New Japan, CMLL, Noah, any other type of good matches that I can get my hands on or get eyes on. I really like to be a overall well-consumed and well-knowledgeable viewer of wrestling in general. So I think it's maybe the younger audience just being super aggressive in that way. But like, even if you enjoyed it to a really high level, that's cool. I understand if you're into this type of style and these specific stories, but I think when you consume as much wrestling as me, I think the in-ring quality is at a higher level. I'm just expecting a little bit more. So matches like Nia Jax and Bayley are not going to do anything for me. And so there's a massive disconnect for when I'm seeing people praise that match, and I'm like, this is like probably one of the most average matches I've seen in a while. It's just very plotting, and then certain things in other type of areas of matches I just don't like, and it's the WWE style at this point, and I couldn't believe that they did it in one match. I thought it was pretty bad. Yeah, overall, like I said, it was a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 show for me. I liked certain things, and I really liked... there was a match that really over-delivered for me that I really enjoyed. That was probably the second best match of the night. And there's some other things that I didn't really care for, and I'll go over them here. But again, I just think it's definitely a strange time in wrestling fandom that if you don't overly praise everything WWE, that you're labeled as an AEW mark, or that you don't watch wrestling, or you don't watch week to week, and you don't understand the stories and the super deep level intricacies that they tell. Like, I had people commenting like, oh my god, how could this show isn't predictable? Oh my god, this was anything far from predictable. How nobody saw this coming. It's like, I literally went 7 for 7 on predictions, and I'm pretty sure I laid out exactly what happened on the entire show in the previews. Like, if you watch week to week, doesn't take a fucking brain surgeon to figure out where the storylines are going. But again, that's the trade-off that I think you have with Triple H. I think the stories that he tells are very simple and very easy to follow and understand. That's the trade-off, is that it's logical, but I don't think you can really, a lot of the times, I don't really think you can, I don't know, I don't think it's like super thought-provoking to really lay out where his stories are going, because they're pretty basic, and they're like I said, logical and make sense, but it's like they're not super exciting for me. Like, if you didn't know Dom was fucking turning on Rhea, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you may be 5 years old. I don't know. If you didn't know Roman Reigns was coming back, you may be 5 years old. Like, I don't. It was very clearly laid out, and that's not a bad thing, especially compared to Vince's reign, where things just didn't make sense, and it was not logically well done. Crazy things happened, but it was a bad product overall. But I'll go ahead and get into the card overall, and I saw a lot of people on Cage Match. Again, this is just the disconnect with me. On Cage Match, show is at a 6.41, and I honestly would agree with that. It's between a 6 and a 7 for me, and I saw people laughing their asses off of this Cage Match. I mean, it's pretty accurate from what I'm seeing. Like, I don't know, I think it's the disconnect for just these WWE fans. Like, if it's not, it feels like they grade on a scale of 8 out, the lowest they can go is an 8, and that they can't go below an 8, and it's either 8, 9, or 10, and it's perfect every time. I don't know, it's definitely strange, but there's different sides of the spectrum, right? Like, when NXT Heatwave was rated a 9.5 or whatever, one of the greatest shows in the history of wrestling. I mean, that's preposterous. That's fucking absurd. There's no way it's one of the greatest shows of all time. Like, it was a good show, probably like an 8 out of 10, maybe a 8.5, but I mean, come on, it's definitely not one of the greatest shows of all time. But the match that opened the card after the truly incredible Jelly Roll performance, I mean, just, you know, you're a liar. I don't remember how the song goes. We had Liv Morgan defeating Rhea Ripley in 15 minutes and 53 seconds after old Dirty Dom slid in a chair and she hit her finish on the chair after Dom distracted her. And we got the big reveal that, oh my God, Dom's been in on it the entire time. Oh my God, who could have believed it? Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, like I said, going into this match, I wasn't really into the story, but the actual in-ring work definitely impressed me. I think I gave this like 3.25 stars, which is more than I'm expecting from a Liv Morgan match. Obviously, Rhea Ripley's really good in the ring, but, you know, not being super involved in the story and knowing where it was going completely, I don't think there's any doubt that Liv was retaining this title and what was happening. Like I said, the actual in-ring work was pretty solid. They went out there at 15 minutes and they worked pretty hard. Rhea had some, I did like the spots where they were, you know, she was pretending that her shoulder was out of place and then she jammed her shoulder into the table and that got a big pop. So that was pretty good. But again, this is where I have problems overall with the storytelling in WWE. Like, Rhea Ripley, she hits the Riptide and she has Liv Morgan beat, right? And she looks at the chair and she's like, okay, I'm going to do more damage to Liv Morgan. And I mean, which is understandable, but the thing is, she could have just hit the Riptide again, pinned Liv Morgan, and then picked up the chair and beat the shit out of her after the match. Like, why didn't she? She could have just done that. Like, it makes her look like an idiot. I mean, which they don't want to do. Obviously, that she's their top women's babyface now. I assume they don't want to make her look like a moron, which she kind of did there. I understand like emotions and everything, but, you know, just wait like 5 seconds and you'll be able to do that anyway. Overall, though, I did enjoy this as an opener. Like I said, gave it 3.25 stars. It's at 6.57 on Cage Match. That's like probably right where I'm at. Maybe a little bit. I'm a little bit higher on it than Cage Match, but I'm just glad that Judgment Day are going to be imploding after this. I was really tired of all the backstage segments and everything, so excited for that. But predictable outcome, the right outcome. Solid match though. Good opener. Next, we had Sami Zayn losing his Intercontinental Championship to Braun Breaker in 5 minutes and 42 seconds. This was a really weird match. I gave it 2.75 stars, and it was just really weirdly laid out. Like, if they were going to do this squash, I don't know why they had to have Zayn beat Breaker at the last pay-per-view at Money in the Bank. They really didn't have anybody else who Sami Zayn could beat or make it a three-way. And the whole layout of the match was weird. They never really got into second gear. And if they were going to do a squash, why didn't they just make it like 90 seconds? Like, this was kind of an extended squash, but it didn't really do much. Like, I don't know. It was a fine match for what it was. It wasn't really anything super enjoyable. It was all right, though, for what it was. It was short, and the point of it was to put Breaker over and get the IC title onto him. Zayn to eventually move on to bigger things. You'd have to assume eventually he gets inserted into the Bloodline storyline, however they're going to do that. But ultimately, this was fine for what it was, but I just think they could have done it in a better way to really help establish Braun. I wouldn't have had him take the loss at Money in the Bank, and I would have just had him squash Sami Zayn here even shorter in like 90 seconds. Overall, it accomplished what it was going to accomplish, and it was a fine match on the card for what it was. For the third match on the card, we had LA Knight defeating Logan Paul in 12 minutes and 4 seconds to finally win the United States Championship off of Logan Paul. And this match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I thought it was really, really solid. And this was one of the better LA Knight performances that I've ever seen. He was really, really good in this match. Logan Paul was also really, really good in this match. They had the, before the bell rang, they had the I Am the Table spot where LA Knight did like a, what did he do? Like a DVD or something on the table, and it didn't break, and it looked like a brutal bump for both of them. Logan Paul had MGK out there, gave him the brass knucks. He hit LA Knight. LA Knight eventually reversed into the, what's his shitty finisher called? The BFT. Is that what it's called? MFT? That's motherfucking Tongan for Tomatonga. BFT, that's what we'll call it. I think that's the name of it. And that was a 3 count. Logan Paul had his foot under the rope apparently, so I don't think that was on purpose. I think that was just maybe Logan Paul angling for another match, and he can claim that he wasn't beaten. But overall, yeah, these guys worked really, really hard, had some really crazy bumps, brought a lot of intensity to the match. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And so these first 3 matches on the card, like, I enjoyed Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. I was fine with Braun Breaker and Zayn for what it was going for, nothing super offensive. And then this match was over-delivered expectations. I thought it was really good. And so I was enjoying the show up until this point. And it was definitely the right decision to put the belt on LA Knight. I don't think they ever see him as really an upper top guy. I don't really think he's ever going to win a world title. And so this is probably his highest point and where he's going to be slotted into. I think it's a good slot for him. He can have matches with Andrade and Carmelo and whoever else they want to throw to him on the SmackDown side. So not sure what's next for Logan Paul. Probably not going to bring him back for a little bit unless maybe it's a Mania match, maybe a rematch against LA Knight or something, or some celebrity type deal. But we'll see how they treat Logan Paul after all of the tweets and everything he was letting off. See how they deal with that for sure. But yeah, really good match and very enjoyable first 3 matches. The 4th match on the show, I kind of touched on this at the beginning, is when the WWE Women's title was up for grabs. We had Nia Jax defeating Bayley in 12 minutes and 33 seconds to become the new champion. And if you told me this match was 30 minutes, I would have believed you. I thought it was so slow and plodding. Like, Nia Jax, this is another disconnect for me. I don't see like what people are talking about when they say she's super improved. Like, do they just mean that she doesn't injure all of her opponents now and she's like a safer worker? Like, is that what we're talking about? Because I mean, that's good if that's the case, but I don't really see the intrigue in her matches. Like, I picked her to win, and I thought they were going to give her the belt so they could go with this Stratton and Jax story long term and have Stratton eventually cash in on her. But like, I just don't really see the improvement. Like, she's not okay. I think she's not very good, right? Like, she's an effective, big, strong women's wrestler who's a lot different than a lot of other girls on the roster, and so that's definitely valuable. I just don't think you ever really want her to be your world champion. Like, this match was not anything special. I thought the build to this match was not good, and Bayley's entire reign was really, really badly booked. I think as a face, she doesn't really work. Like, she's just not super interesting. And then when you give her bad feuds like Piper Niven, who they didn't build up at all, and then this Nia Jax build, I mean, it wasn't really anything special either. I wasn't super invested in it. And then the match wasn't anything either. They just lacked intensity. Like I said, Nia Jax's control portions were super slow. I've said this for a while. I really think that Bayley is kind of cooked now. I don't think she does what she can in the ring. Like I said before, she had a good match with Io Sky, but I feel like Io Sky carried a lot of it. I don't know. I just don't think she can definitely go out there and perform still. I just don't think she's on that upper echelon. Like, it's kind of painful to watch her run the ropes. Like, I think her knees aren't really doing too good right now. Yeah, I don't. This logically again made sense. I just didn't think the match really delivered. It's at a 5.63 on Cage Match. I'm a little bit lower on it. I gave it 2.5 stars, right in the middle, smack dab at bang average match. It was long, slow, not super exciting. And then they had the Tiffany Stratton tease cash in, which, expected, but, it's whatever. It's probably planned all along from Nia and Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, regardless, this was all right. I mean, it was whatever. It didn't really do anything for me specifically, but if you enjoyed it, cool. Oh boy. And then we had Drew McIntyre defeating CM Punk in 16 minutes and 58 seconds. The special guest referee was Seth Rollins, and I did not like this match. I thought the storytelling was all wrong, and I thought it was completely just not. I was not a fan. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre both have been. It's been a blood feud for months. CM Punk promised to bring a level of violence that would never be seen before, and then they didn't even. They did like one table spot or one spot like that, and that was literally it. There was no violence. They were fighting over a bracelet. I understand that it's supposed to be storytelling, and I mean, like, Punk looked like such an idiot. He had Drew up for the go to sleep. He could have just hit the go to sleep, pinned him, and then took back his bracelet from Rollins. Like, why is he so concerned with Rollins having this bracelet now? Like, just win the fucking match, and then you can get the bracelet back. Like, what are you doing with that bracelet? Give it back. Or take it off. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is a blood feud. Like, they've been feuding since before WrestleMania. Like, they have been just throwing insults at each other, going crazy on promos, great violence in the build-up. They had more violence in the build-up than they did in this match. And I understand that the feud is probably going to continue, and that's what some people are saying about it. Like, oh, this is only the first part of the feud, and maybe they're going to save the really blood feud for Bad Blood or something. What it's like, well, I'm not. If I go into a movie and all they're doing is setting up the next movie, like what? That doesn't make me be like, okay, well that movie wasn't good, but man, that really served a purpose. Like, no, fuck that. Like, if I didn't enjoy the match with the story, and I loved the build going into this. The build of this was so great. This is my most anticipated match of the show, and that's why it was such a letdown for the story they were going to. And people were saying, "Oh, Punk is back. He never lost it." What are we watching? He was gassed like 5 minutes into the match, and they weren't even going at a super high pace. They had minutes in between where they were talking to Seth Rollins and doing various other things, and Punk's elbow off the top rope looked like absolute shit. Give him a little bit of grace for ring rust, but like, don't be saying like, oh, he's back, he's never lost a step, like he looks great. It's like, come on, man, like, what are we watching here? I don't. People are gonna say that this was storytelling, and like the story that they told was ass. Like, it was not good. I mean, if you enjoyed it, again, that's cool. You can enjoy what you want. I'm just giving my opinion on it and why I'm disappointed by it. I expected some violence, some intensity, some high drama, and this was not it. Battling over this bracelet, just making these guys look stupid. Like, if you're gonna promise violence, give some violence. There was nothing of that sort in this match, so I'm gonna say that it was disappointing, and I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was a below average match. Thought the storyline was not good, and saw a lot of people like this match. It's pretty split though. 6.65 on Cage Match, and I've seen some people really dislike it, some people really love it. Either way, it depends on what you're looking for in your wrestling. I think if you like storytelling and you watch more wrestling than just WWE, and you find stories in other promotions, you'll probably understand that this story is not good. But maybe you do, and then maybe you do watch a lot of other wrestling or other things, and you still think this is good. I mean, that's, like I said, that's cool. It's not for me though, especially when they're promising this type of violence and blood and just intensity in the feud, and throwing Seth Rollins into this match just was so bad. I understand that people were like, is this your first time watching a special referee match? Like, no, obviously fucking not, but I just didn't like it. Like, I don't need Punk and Drew to turn to Seth every 5 minutes and go, oh, well, what are you doing here? What do you do? Stay out of my match. And then Seth going, well, I'm the referee. This is my ring. Like, in his annoying ass voice, and going, ha 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 ha. Like, God, it was just so grating and frustrating. Like, I just wanted them to beat the shit out of each other. So that's my take on the match. And I am really hoping that they do have a really good match down the line. If Punk's body didn't get destroyed here, it shouldn't have. They barely even did anything. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Very disappointed by the match, and that's where I stand on it. The semi-main event did have that intensity and that kind of violence that I was looking for in it, and that is the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest defended against Gunther, and Gunther ultimately won in 16 minutes and 38 seconds, apparently via ref's decision. I thought he just passed out, but I guess that means ref decision. So after Finn Balor screwed him over very predictably as well. I mean, you could see this coming from a mile away if you have paid attention to the shows at all. 8.17 on Cage Match, and I am right in line with that. I give it 4 stars. Thought it was really, really good. Typical Gunther match, really excellent. Damian Priest can get in there and really keep up with Gunther and guys like him. You put him in the ring with somebody like that. And so a lot of really big bumps, a lot of violence, chops, great kicks from Damian Priest. And it was all really, really good stuff. This is what I expected from Punk and Drew to an extent. At one point, you had Gunther just bleeding from his chest from the chops, and that's the shit that I love. Love to see that. The build going into this also was, they really ramped it up. It didn't really have a lot of build before this past month, and they really ramped it up and got people invested in it. And I really liked the build ultimately heading into this. And it was just simple storytelling. You don't have to throw a bracelet on the fact Gunther is saying, Priest, I don't like you. I want to restore prestige to the World Championship. Priest says, nah, fuck you. I'm the champion. I deserve this. You're not going to talk shit about me. And then they just got violent and physical from there. I mean, it's just a very simple storytelling aspect, and it was very well done. You had people being like, oh, they've really killed this Gunther Priest feud. It's like, well, I mean, pro wrestling's not hard. You just have to tell simple stories, let two great wrestlers go in the ring, and they'll kill it. And that's what they did. 4 stars. Again, super excited to see the Judgment Day not be together anymore. Obviously, they're going to splinter off and probably going to have similar segments on Raw still, which kind of sucks. I'm going to assume Finn and JD obviously are in on it with Dom and Liv, and not sure where Carlito stands because he's kind of just I don't know what he's doing. Priest and Rhea are going to go their other way. They're turning face, and the rest of them are going to stay heel. The one spot in the match I didn't love was that they really, really telegraphed Finn putting Gunther's leg on the rope. Priest rolled him over really close to the ropes just to make sure that spot happened, and Gunther was pretty much already at the ropes. He didn't really need Finn's help, but Finn did it anyway. It was just really, really telegraphed. You could see it coming from a mile away. Again, though, that's a small, minor complaint. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the match really delivered, and I enjoyed the story that they told. I give this one a thumbs up, and it was definitely my match of the night right after Logan Paul and LA Knight. I'm excited to see where Gunther goes with the world title, bring some prestige to it. Damian Priest's run was not a bad one. I think he did the best he could with what he was given. I think his booking didn't really help him a lot, considering that they had him look weak a lot of the time and never really gave him a clean win. It was kind of all by happenstance. But his promos were good. It seems like he's kind of gotten over more with the fans, as a face. And so it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, feuding with Finn and the rest of those Judgment Day guys. And Gunther, hopefully he can have some really, really good matches, bring some prestige like he did the Intercontinental Championship to this World Heavyweight Championship that it desperately needs. Finally, the main event of the evening, we had the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes successfully defending against Solo Sikoa in a Bloodline Rules match, 29 minutes and 13 seconds. And cage match is at 4.96 on this one out of 138 votes, and I fall right in line with that. I gave it 2.5 stars. And I just felt like this was like WrestleMania 40, but much worse. There was really nothing interesting happening in the first 15 to 20 minutes. You were just waiting for the Bloodline guys to run in, and obviously Kevin Owens and Randy Orton were going to come out. It was just very telegraphed, so I don't think the fans really were getting into the match either in the beginning. It was slow solo control sequences, and it really just felt like we were all waiting for people to start coming out and making their entrances, which is a huge detriment to the match. There was just nothing interesting happening because you knew it wasn't going to end until all the guys came running out and Roman came out. And the best part of the match, honestly, was when Tonga Loa missed the fucking corner and trying to drive. Who was it? Was he trying to drive Cody into it? That was the best part of the match for me up until the Roman return. And yeah, Roman returned. It was a cool moment. Came back and took out Solo, and then that led to Cody. He hit a crossroads after Roman speared him, and that gave him the win. So clearly we're heading to the Bloodline versus the OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline for the majority of the rest of the year. And then one would assume, I'm not sure if Cody is involved in that. I would assume that he is going to be feuding with other guys. One of the main possible people, it's got to be either Kevin Owens or Randy Orton, right? Orton's been eyeing up that belt. Kevin Owens, I'm not sure if they would do a title match with him right now, but one of those guys have got to turn on him. And most people have assumed Randy Orton. I would also assume that. That's probably a match moving forward. Not sure who he feuds with besides that. That'll probably be the direction for them. And then the more important storyline, honestly, than even the title is the Bloodline stuff. That's going to be the most pushed thing in the entire company. And hopefully Jacob Fatu's okay. It seemed like he got hurt at the end, and he was seen with a walking boot earlier today. Hopefully it's just precautionary. He's only out maybe a few weeks or a month, and he's nothing long term, because that would be a massive loss for the entire storyline. He's the hottest thing in the Bloodline besides Roman coming back, and he's needed for this storyline, honestly. Overall for the main event though, and I've loved this Cody reign. I've been much more into the Cody reign than anybody else that I've really seen on the app. And by the app, I mean Twitter or anything like that. And I've enjoyed it a lot more than most people, but this match was not it. It was just a less interesting version of the WrestleMania 40 match, and Solo's just not it, man. He's not the guy, and even Cody couldn't pull a good match out of him. So yeah, not really that good. Gave it 2.5 stars. It was more a vehicle for Roman coming back than an actual good match. And those are my thoughts overall on SummerSlam 2024. Let me know what your thoughts were about it, because I know that I upset a lot of people on various different platforms with mine. But yeah, let me know.